Oh, it's a cool thing.
Okay, we're starting. Yeah.
Thank you for
welcome
having me.
to episode whatever of whatever.
I like
It's called
that.
Zeo Fucks Given.
But I like that. You go episode whatever of whatever,
Yeah.
and then you put the episode out whenever you feel like it.
Yeah,
Why give it
exactly.
these artificial numbers that force you to put it out at a certain time.
Yeah.
I like the scalability of this
you're,
podcast.
You're the second Muslim I've had.
Really?
Are you a Muslim?
Yeah.
You're Middle Eastern, so I
I'm
assume.
Middle Eastern. I was raised Muslim.
Right.
Am I good Muslim?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Depends on who's evaluating.
Am I on track to go to Muslim hell right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is beheading an American journalist a good thing? Depends on who you ask that question.
Should we wait 5 minutes so the YouTube algorithm can tell us that we're okay? Is that true?
Checks.
Are you familiar with that? That the algorithm
I know.
gives
I
you,
got
is
shadow
that true?
banned constantly. Hold on, let me load real.
By the way, I don't know if any of these rules are real. I hear them from like a tattooed cool girl on TikTok, and I just believe it 100%.
It is because I got shadow banned all the time by mentioning things.
It's not. By the way, the shadow banning is also a nice thing to have.
It's beheading a keyword.
I would guess.
Yeah.
Although, kids these days, sometimes I want to look at them and go, you guys don't even know. Beheading was a regular part of our lives.
What about
20 years
I
ago.
almost want to do an A/B test of like me just saying beheading, and then I would use AI to replace beheading with rimming. And then I would upload both and see which one got shadow banned.
I gotta think beheading goes first after rimming.
Then rimming.
But rimming is a close second. I would say rimming is close.
Yeah. Oh, so you say you were raised Muslim. I thought I thought that's the whole point. You can't leave.
I mean, I say, here's what I say.
Yeah.
If I die tomorrow, definitely going to Muslim hell.
Really?
According to the rules of Islam.
What is Muslim hell like?
Probably equal to Christian heaven.
Really?
I would guess.
Really?
It's not a good place.
Okay. Describe Muslim hell. Okay. I after you do that, I would describe Chinese hell to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Muslim hell is any different than the regular hell, but it's very, it's the same imagery, but I just remember a lot of extremes in it, like the fire, like there was this there's like a, what do we call it? Kind of an equivalent of a parable about the Prophet Muhammad's uncle, and he wouldn't convert to Islam. But he was a good guy. Everything about him was good, but he wouldn't convert to Islam. So the parable is like, well, he's still going to hell.
Right.
But Allah's going to cut him a break.
Yeah.
And the fire is going to go only to his ankles. But
like a foot massage.
Like a foot massage.
Yeah.
But according to the parable, the heat will be so hot that it'll boil his brains.
That's so specific.
And for it to be like to be a young kid hearing this, you're like, okay.
I'm very into this.
Yeah.
I feel like, please don't fatwa me, Muslims.
We try not to, but
I feel like
no guarantees.
If there's any group of people that will persevere in hell better, it will be people who are used to living in very hot climate.
You're not wrong about that. If there's a group of people who have a propensity to suffer,
I just feel like you would deal. Like you guys can deal because for thousands of years please don't fatwa me.
No, I think you're making a decent point. I think you're making a decent point. You're like, look, if you lived in Iraq, and you were getting drone struck 24/7, what is hell
nothing?
Is hell really that different?
When a drone drop a bomb at me, it does not just aim my ankle or
It's
foot.
a good point. Yeah. If you live in Switzerland and you go to hell, that's going to be
that's the thing.
That's a tough fall from grace.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. All hell from like the Christian hell to the Muslim hell.
Yeah.
And the Chinese version of hell is deeply influenced by Buddhism and Taoism. So this is a combination of things. It's about...
Is it like a poetic hell? I love that about like Buddhism and stuff.
It's a Chinese wok.
Okay.
It's a Chinese wok.
Okay.
You basically get fried in a big wok.
Ooh, okay. That sounds very Christian.
That's hilarious to me.
It can't be real. You're joking.
I'm not joking.
You get wok? You get a wok?
Yeah.
You get
It's a mountain of knives. That make more sense. That's more poetic. That sounds like some 36 chamber Enter the Shaolin kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, or you got thrown in a big wok and they fry you like a Chinese donut with
like
hot
a
oil.
wonton or something.
Yeah.
That's not what I was picturing.
We're a very food driven people.
Yeah, I like that. I like even your people who go to hell are to go.
We're like look,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
can we make hell into a $6
yeah.
a plate Chinese takeout place?
I feel like working at the right Chinese place could be equivalent to hell.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Oh,
What do you
yeah.
mean?
Like, just sometimes you get into a Chinese spot and you're like, this seems like a really tough place to
Oh my
work.
god, tell me about it. Like, here's the thing. Like, a lot of I think recent years is different because we started to have money. So people who immigrated here, some of them were like driving Ferraris or whatever, like rich people's kids.
Oh, yeah.
But there's supposed to be a period of time, maybe like in the 80s, 90s, a lot of people who immigrated from China here, they don't really have money.
Yeah.
And their first stop, straight to a Chinese wok, back kitchen.
Sure.
And let me tell you, if there's any, I don't know if this is a cultural thing or other people do the same thing. Instead of helping one another, Chinese people will fucking exploit one another.
Oh,
They'll be like,
yeah.
yeah, you don't have papers, so I'm gonna give you $2 an hour.
Yeah.
And you have to work here
Yeah.
for sustenance, and also if you dare to report me, I'm gonna report you first.
We'll send you right back to China.
Yeah, even my friend now, I mean, he doesn't work in like a restaurant, but he works in this Chinese company owned by like Chinese immigrants, and they're holding this like status or H-1B visa thing against him, and just severely underpay him. And it's like some people, they're like, yeah, I know exactly, you're desperate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I use that. Is that the thing for like other cultures?
I think all cultures, I think it's humans exploit humans. It's our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think all cultures do that. By the way, if I was Chinese right now, I'd be like, please send me the fuck back. Are you kidding me? Things, this country's falling apart from the inside out. I will swim back personally if I need to.
Would you go back to, you're from
Palestine.
You are from Palestine. Oh my God.
That's how bad America is that I'm considering going back right now.
Right now?
Right now I'm going,
wow, we caught a real one.
I might be able to open up a coffee shop in the West Bank. I might be able to gentrify it.
Can you if there's a part of Palestine, I'm very ignorant of, I just know Jerusalem, the dispute, whatever. But is there a neighborhood that's hip that has the most potential to be turning to Brooklyn, New York, or Silver Lake?
It's been a long time since I've been to Palestine. Maybe 12 years. Maybe actually longer than that. Probably 15, 20.
Right.
There was a neighborhood called, I think, Ramallah, which is very cool. A lot of cool artists.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's even a gay community there. I mean, certainly not an open one, but just kind of the cool kids know, you know, the cool kids are open to it kind of thing.
Yeah.
There'll never really be a gay community the way that there is in the West. Not because people think it's because of homophobia, but it's really more like they don't want straight pride. Like they want no pride in sexuality whatsoever.
I feel like being gay in the Middle East must be the most gangster punk rock thing.
Oh yeah, and they've got to have.
I gotta tell you,
listen,
you gotta listen. If you're Middle Eastern, you're gay. You chose it. Like no. This refutes the idea that it's a choice.
That is a choice.
It's like why? You know what I mean?
If you're out there,
you must want it bad.
Godspeed to anybody out there. They must be. And not all the. By the way, and there's homophobia that's brutal everywhere. But if you're a gay person in a homophobic area, and you're hooking up with guys or girls, God, you got to be having some great sex.
If you suck a dick, you get pushed down a cliff.
If you're
like, I love chocolate ice cream.
Exactly.
If you tell me if I eat chocolate ice cream, I will be pushed down a cliff. I would never eat chocolate ice cream ever again.
I'm telling you, these guys have got to be having sexual experiences in Saudi Arabia that we could never even imagine in your wildest dreams.
I think they're the fundamentalists of
blowing guys randomly on Grindr.
I know, like the risk.
They could literally throw you into a grinder for being on Grindr.
That's crazy.
That's
that's the manliest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I'm sure I haven't been to so many parts of the Middle East in a long time. I think that the West, I don't know. It's not as open as it is now here, like in the West. Right. I still call it the West, even though I'm from here. That's a very Arab thing.
I do that too. I mean, I am born and raised in China.
How long did you live in China?
23 years.
I've
been here for about 8 years, more than 8 years.
Your full adult formation, not your full adult, but like young teenager, adolescents, all formed
education.
in China.
I never been like formally educated here. I went to college in China.
I would go to Palestine when I was a kid once every 2 years for the whole summer.
Yeah.
from 1 until I was like 15 or 16.
Right.
Every single year. So I didn't spend any time there significantly,
Mm-hmm.
but I did go there during a lot of formative years.
Right.
And so, but I didn't know, there's a lot of stuff I don't know about. And I think about it, and I talk to my mom about it, and she says that a lot of what's going on, like the phones and everything, everybody is basically Western everywhere now because
Really?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, do you find that the same is kind of true in China?
Oh, China for sure. We make those phones.
Yes, of course.
What the hell are you talking
No, but I'm
about?
saying like
Yeah.
you now have.
Yeah.
Are there now people in China pursuing what would have originally been more Western?
Yeah,
bullshit,
definitely.
you know?
For sure. Like, for example,
Wanting a comedy career, is a very Western
like
pursuit.
stand-up comedy just started budding in China. And also, Chinese people are now obsessed with like tennis because we just had like the first like Olympic tennis champion.
Yeah, I
as a
feel like you
woman.
guys would be really good at tennis.
But I feel like tennis is such a rich people's sport. You know what I mean?
It kind of is, but I could see it being hood. I could
Really?
see a couple people going like, you know what? We're gonna put up this like ghetto net.
Soccer's hood.
Soccer's hood.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. Soccer's
Yeah.
number one.
Number one.
But I could see a couple of
Yeah.
people. But also, like you said, I guess people in China are making money now, obviously.
Let's do a sports tier list from poor to rich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Soccer is obviously the most hood
Would
sport.
you put it at like even below basketball?
Yeah.
Like
Easily,
okay, go to
because
a ghetto in Brazil, whatever.
You
they're playing
can't.
some- yeah.
You need at basketball. You
Yeah.
still need a public park to go to.
Yeah, right.
So some of these places don't even have a public
Yeah.
park to go to.
But then I would put like basketball.
right after soccer.
Yeah, I'm talking about like just popular sports, like curling. That's not a real sport.
Sure.
Like we're talking about real.
Yeah, we're not
things.
talking about.
What about ping pong?
Ping pong.
Americans don't give a shit about ping pong. We do.
You guys, of course, love
Yeah.
ping pong.
Yeah. Why?
I-
Is it the sound?
You
Is
know-
that how the syllables ring off your tongue?
I just, whenever I picture two guys playing ping pong, they are Chinese,
I mean,
unfortunately.
we dominate ping pong.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys rip at it. Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like ping pong, you just need a table.
yeah,
So maybe like above that.
it's not quite hood ping pong, but there's something. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a little like
Dorky.
It's very dorky,
Yeah.
but it's kind of I wouldn't call it suburban even, but I get the sense that you're miserable in your life if you're playing ping pong.
Really? You know the best ping pong player are the kung fu masters you see in the park. Some old guy with a Tai Chi uniform,
Yeah.
and then you never heard of him. And
Of course.
He will destroy you.
Sure.
Would probably destroy a world champion.
But I feel like that
Yeah.
comes from misery. That's
You
not,
think so? Why-
Whereas tennis, you're like, we're putting the shorts on.
Yeah.
We're putting the shirt
Okay,
on.
why do you think ping pong comes from misery?
The ping pong? It feels like something you
Break
do.
it down to me.
I'll tell you why it's in misery.
Yeah, yeah.
Any fucking thing that you see that's in a break room at an office is a thing of misery.
It's a chore.
It's it's like
Okay.
it's like listen, we're putting you in here to give you a break for 5
Yeah,
minutes from
right.
the fucking bullshit that you
Yeah,
don't want to
and
do.
then you come back right
then
here.
you're back in.
Right.
You see a tennis court?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know we were saying that we were kind of
It's
joking. Is there some
Lululemon
hood?
and
but you
yeah.
got a nice thing on. You got nice shorts on. There's an instructor who's fucking your
there's
wife.
yeah,
There's a lot going on.
I know. I never saw. You know what happened to Doug? His wife ran off with her ping pong coach.
Yes, exactly. The
Yeah.
ping pong instructor is not fucking anybody's wife.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, the ping pong. So that's pretty poor, and then badminton.
Badminton is.
We're pretty good at badminton too.
You guys are great at badminton.
Yeah. You
That
need a
one was
court.
racist. No, I'm
Yeah.
I think there's a court element to it. I
Yeah.
tend to think also here, like badminton is one of those things where you think it's like a joke sport. You don't believe it's a real thing, but people really are fucking good at badminton and training.
Yeah.
But you only see it like at the beach or like
I don't think you guys are giving it a chance. Like ping pong, table tennis match, and like badminton matches are the most fun to watch.
the second they named it a
Yeah.
shuttlecock, they put a death knell in the sport. We wouldn't watch. I promise you, we wouldn't watch
Badminton
hockey
is
if
a
they.
lighter, faster version of tennis.
But I'm saying-
it's so much faster.
If they were
You know?
smacking around something called a dildo, a dildo ball or something, we wouldn't watch tennis. So I'm
Sometimes-
telling you.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. Sometimes I watch like an Olympics match, and then the commentator would just throw some terms out. I'm like, there's gotta be some bullshit ones that he just made up. What is this? Oh, this is an Alabama rattlesnake.
Sure.
It's like, what the fuck? Really? Like, is that real?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a 360 dildo shot right here.
I
It's
do love watching guys apply their autism to
Sports
really
commentating.
masculine things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been beautiful. I think we at first we understood autism. We were like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like weird or something, right? But then we started to go, wait, hold on. Actually, a lot of people who are autistic work in computers and stuff, and then now we're starting to understand, like, oh no, they're all over the place, and they're in every single industry.
There's
and
autism everywhere.
They're nailing it really good at whatever they're doing.
They're she, they're him, they're you, and they're me.
Truly,
Yeah.
truly. If I could wish my son to be anything, it's someone with autism and a purpose.
Really interesting.
Autism plus purpose equals a very successful person.
Excellence.
Excellence.
You have to have some kind of tism in you to like.
It takes you from really good to great.
Because there's a hurdle somewhere.
Sure.
There's a bottleneck to kind of endure the tedium
Yes.
to achieve greatness.
I unfortunately don't have it.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, I think
because
you're pretty social. Yeah.
I want to kill. No,
I was accused.
of being autistic,
Yeah.
of being a little autistic. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's not an accusation. You should take it as a compliment. Maybe someone's like, "Damn, Zeo seems really dialed in today."
Have you seen my project management sheets?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That's
I'm pretty
great.
obsessed with Excel sheets.
If you've ever seen the way I live my life, my car, you
Yeah.
go, no way does this guy have autism.
Really?
This guy is a disaster.
So you don't think autistic people can have
It's a good
like
question. You're right. They probably
clean
do.
cars?
No, I
Yeah.
disagree. You're right. I was a
Dirty
little
cars.
obviously talking a little shit, but I'm sure that there are autistic people who only dial it into the thing that they're.
What if you're
into.
autistic and you have no talent?
And that's tough. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You gotta have.
You know?
It's an autism plus talent plus
Yeah.
an interest in something.
Yeah.
Those are the three keys. That's the jackpot to life.
Yeah.
You get 1, 2.
Yeah.
You might be in a dicey
Do
situation.
you know there's a sport, it's called cast cradle with the strings and stuff like that. Do you know what that sport is?
I have no idea.
So
No.
you use you pull like a thread over your hand and you kind of like knit all kinds of patterns.
Okay.
It's called cast cradle.
Feels very Chinese to me.
Yeah, it's pretty Japanese. There's
Japanese,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Do you know there's a Japanese anime called Doraemon? It's the blue like robot cat, and then the main character Nobita. He's autistic. He's like stupid, very stupid.
Yeah.
But he's very good at one thing. It's cast cradle, but nobody gives a shit.
Sure.
It's the gayest thing that you can be good at.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like someone who's really good at juggling.
Yeah.
So okay, you might be qualified to join a circus.
See
But even in the circus, I feel like there are people who are laughing at you from other people who are in the circus.
I agree.
You know?
The problem with all the animes and stuff
Yeah.
like that is they never took into account that in 2024, if you're really good at that, that's way better than being good at something that a lot of people like. Because you just film yourself up on TikTok doing the
Right.
thing. Boom. That's stuff. You're in your niche. People love what it seems interesting to me that it's dorky until now you're the best. I wish I was into something really weird. Like I wish I loved polka dancing or something.
Right.
And I was into it. That is so much better than just being generally good at something that is acceptable
It is interesting that I feel like Japanese anime kind of emanates the most autism from their whole society.
Yeah, sure.
They have an anime first of all, for every sport. Makes sense it has an anime for basketball, tennis, soccer, all that. They have an anime for yo-yo.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Like-
'Cause yo-yoing was awesome.
It's 100 episodes. It's not an anime
It's not a
movie.
short,
It's not
yeah,
like a
yeah.
niche thing.
Yeah.
It's just like Dragon Ball Z. It has a whole long arc of just like, we're gonna be the best yo-yo player in the world. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember we used to watch in Palestine. We used to watch an anime that was about a soccer player that they dubbed over and made it in Arabic, kind of whatever. But yeah, I do remember that stuff. Question: in China, is autism recognized?
I think they started to kind of recognize it, but only for those who are severe, the untalented ones.
The rest of them, they're like,
it's
you
like,
got a job.
my kid doesn't talk.
Gotcha.
And he's
Okay.
7 years old.
Okay.
Then they're like, something's wrong here.
Got it. Okay.
Otherwise, there's no mental,
Because I have a cousin who's autistic, and everyone's just like, he bites.
What, really? That's a bit. Okay,
he's like 30.
We'll check on the person if he bites. Like our line is like, does he? Oh, he doesn't speak, or he's screaming in the middle of the night like that. But
So
if you're like high functioning or even like medium functioning, they're like, yeah.
My cousin Ali has no chance in China. Is what you're
Talk
telling
about
me.
your cousin. Like, what is your cousin like?
I mean, I don't know him well, to be honest with you. He kind of came after my time over there, but
Yeah.
difficult life over there.
So he's still living in Palestine?
Yeah, we had a, you know what's so funny? This is how bad mental health is over in the Middle East. This is a different cousin. I had another cousin who I think might be schizophrenic. We think maybe.
Oh, have you checked him yourself? Like, is it
hold on.
hereditary?
He started acting weird. Like he all of a sudden grew a beard, and he like started like getting into Islam, but he was getting a little.
That's weird. I thought that's supposed to be normal.
Well, it was. He was starting to get more schizophrenic, like talking to himself, walking around for 10 hours a day. Like he was. But they ended up going like, mental health is so frowned upon over there that they were like, oh, he's radicalized.
Oh,
they
really?
were more comfortable with being like,
my
our son's in
God.
ISIS, then our son might have a mental health problem.
Oh my God.
It's not a recognized thing over there. It's not a recognized thing in most places in the world, which is crazy.
I watched a documentary about like the jihadists. A lot of them are like, there's a big overlap between them and incels. A lot of them keep talking about like, no woman will want me.
Unless I do the jihadi.
Yeah. It will be like, they keep talking about like, no girl will ever want me, and they're like, they think it's their fault or whatever. There's a lot of mentality that's overlapping with.
Well, no doubt about it.
Incel community.
I think incels and jihadis probably have a lot in common. Yeah, I mean 77 virgins and all that. Jazz.
So what's your status?
Are you asking if I'm in jihadi?
How many
or an
virgins
incel?
have you collected so far?
It's hard to not identify with jihadis a little bit,
Okay. Yeah.
Well, jihad is just Arabic for internal struggle, which is very cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Everybody in it, according to Arabs, is Muslims. Everybody struggles with jihad. If you are a guy who thinks about sucking off another guy, that's your jihad, brother. You got to fight it. that's how.
Oh my God.
That's what they would tell you. Yeah.
It's such an intriguing theory. I see the attraction of it. If I'm in a vulnerable state.
I know. I think.
You know what I mean?
The 2001 element of the word jihad, because of September 11th, hijacked it. The reality of what it is actually kind of cool. It's very like, oh wow, like you're fighting your internal demons, the internal struggle, like. So we all relate to the jihadis on some level,
Yeah, but the solution it imposes is a bit extreme. Is that what it is, or actually there is a version of it that's more meditate more,
Yeah, I guess
overcome
so.
your weakness and whatever.
The older I get, jihadis aside.
Read some Tim Ferriss. I don't know.
Let me put the jihadis out of this one.
Yeah.
Because the reality of the situation of whatever they're dealing with, the political, but just the element of. I do get old. As I get older, I do get more a little bit like, I get why these extremists are doing what they're doing. Not the whole killing, but growing a beard long, just reading one book all the time. It's comforting,
It is?
Yeah, just like I grow a beard, I read one book, I live my life by 7 rules.
But you can argue going to jail, it's comforting too.
I have a dream of going to jail.
Highly structured life, your meals are taken care of.
I fantasize about going to jail.
You don't have to be like, oh, what am I going to eat for lunch?
What's the number one? What's the
number? You have to argue with your partner. It's like, oh God.
Why do you think so many people in jail convert to Islam? It's structure. It's a jail on top of a jail.
It's a structured life.
Yeah, they jailed themselves while they're in jail on a different idea.
They must be very happy if they're autistic too.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I have. Do you ever fantasize about going to jail?
I'm not gonna name names. Of course, it's okay. I haven't introduced you, which is crazy. We've been talking about shit for so long. We're both comedians.
Yeah.
Okay. Just as you're listening. And when I go to any open mics, especially the ones I go to, someone say, hey, who has been incarcerated? And it would be like more than 3 people in the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, Really?
Yeah.
I hope it's not a felony. Like, I had no idea, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's well, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense to me that somebody would come out of prison and be like, what should I do? Go to an open mic.
Yeah.
It's a pretty prison-like atmosphere.
Right. So I've known people. So you asked me that question. Do you have a follow-up for that?
Whether I fantasize.
Did you say, you said, do you know anyone who went to jail? I said, yes.
Oh, no, I thought I was asking, do you ever fantasize about being in jail?
No,
is
of
what I
course
said.
not.
Yeah. I do all the time.
Really?
My dream, the one way that I would make my father really proud.
But not the you know, bathroom encounters, right?
No, not that.
If you can just remove that from jail sounds pretty good.
Doing push-ups, reading,
getting jacked.
Exactly.
Jacked.
Connecting with dudes, like-minded friends, you know.
You mean join a gang?
Whatever you call it.
Shop class
Yeah.
training.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
How to grind a
Ramsey.
toothbrush into a shank.
Yeah, you did good making toilet wine, finding out I'd be like, oh, you're a good programmer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I turned my life around in prison. And by the way, that's a great story. You come out of prison. This is the problem. I'm talking about, this is the problem with ex-convicts. They don't think about things.
Yeah.
You come out of prison, you find yourself, like, I'm sure
you're a better version of yourself.
There's a pathway to leaving prison and getting a super high-paying job at Google because they would love to parade you around.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Google would love to be like, here's our programmer who was a prisoner, nonviolent offender, went to jail for something, came out, learned to program, worked his way up.
Top list of career choices after incarceration.
After incarceration.
Yeah, after you get out.
Motivational speaker. Motivational speaker's a good one.
Yes.
That's number one. You come out, you go, I was just like you. You do that kind of speech to the kids.
Yeah.
You do elementary schools too because they have low expectations. Yeah. I'm looking for an easy career out of jail. I had a hard life.
Self-defense. You can do this.
Self-defense, prison. Prison defense. Yeah, that's good. I like that. YouTuber. Talking about prison. Explain to people the prison.
They're doing that in prison
rules.
Already.
Yes. Yeah. There's a guy I follow.
You have this. You for real had a fantasy.
A guy I follow. There's a prisoner named Grant Amato who killed his whole family for like an OnlyFans.
You know, this
model.
is what happened. The algorithm knows you are obsessed with prison, so they're like, "Oh, okay, let me recommend Ramsey some prison-related videos."
I like true crime stuff.
Yeah.
Which I can just call crime. I don't know why you have to call it true crime. We don't call it true history, for example, or true science.
Yeah. It's to separate the fake crime, like rigging elections.
How about we call it fake crime? True, understood, based.
Yeah.
But how about we call the fake crime?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And just crime.
I don't go look at you at a gold ring and go, that's true gold.
Yeah.
And then that's gold.
Yeah.
the non-real gold is just gold. You call the fake crime, and you call true crime, just crime.
Okay, so you were talking about you followed this guy who murdered his whole family.
He murdered his whole family. And I learned he gets a cell phone.
Do they deserve it?
Dude, this is the worst story ever.
Yeah.
This guy is the worst human being on the planet.
Okay. They don't deserve it.
He stole Grant Amato. I'm sure if you have anybody who listens who is into true crime, they know who he is. Mm-hmm. He fell in love with a Eastern European cam girl. They didn't even have OnlyFans back then. They were just called cam girls.
Right.
And he pretended that he was a successful YouTuber. So you could look up his YouTube channel, like before he was a like him. He was like he wanted to be a Twitch streamer or whatever.
Like a PewDiePie kind of guy.
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah.
100%. So he'd be giving her tons of money, like thousands of dollars. But he was stealing the money from his father, right? So he ended up giving something like $250,000 to his from his father's retirement account. His dad had to come out of retirement to go back to work.
Oh my God.
His dad forgave them. His dad was like, you just gotta like crazy, right? White people.
Of course.
White people,
of course.
No. Are you kidding me? A Chinese person?
My mom would slit my throat after $5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She would have sent you out and made you work for $200,000. Then when you got the $200,000 back, killed you.
I know.
And sold your body parts, for money or whatever.
She would sell me to Siberia to work at a labor camp to make the money back.
And then kill you.
And then kill me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then hire someone to kill me in Siberia.
And then kill the guy who killed you. Just so,
I know.
It's just nothing to do with
it. It would be a whole thing.
It would be a whole thing.
Okay,
white people forgave him.
So this white father forgave his son.
Yeah. Set out some rules. You can't talk to the girl anymore.
Right.
You can't do whatever. And you can come back to the house. You got to go to rehab, sex rehab, white people stuff, you know. Not that that's not an issue, but it's like, it was very like, we're going to give you 11 stipulations to live here. He ended up talking to the girl again, giving her more money, and the father confronted him about it. So he kills the dad, kills his mom, calls the brother over and tells the brother there's a family emergency. He's got one brother who lives with him. His brother comes over, kills his brother.
Jesus.
Then, here's the worst part.
Yeah.
Takes his brother. This is back when iPhones had the fingerprint.
Yeah.
Takes his brother's finger, puts his brother's phone, turns it on, opens up the banking app, sends himself $1,000
to send it to the girl.
Oh
my God.
The worst guy on the planet.
How
but
hot
great
is
YouTuber.
the girl?
Not that. She never is that hot.
Yeah.
Nobody's that hot.
How hot
You're just that
do
lonely.
you have to be?
No one's that hot.
No one's that hot
You're
for
just
you to
that
kill your
lonely.
whole family?
You're just that lonely.
Okay.
You're not. Nobody. I've never seen anybody on the planet that was
That's
like, that
hot
person
enough.
is so
I will
hot.
kill my whole family.
I'll kill
for
my
them.
whole family for them. I already want to kill my family. It's a matter. He was gonna kill his family no matter what.
Right.
That's a thing. Yeah.
I have a killing parents story.
Okay.
To counter you as a Hong Kong guy. I like to read. I like to read true crime or crime stories of Asia.
Yeah.
Just to because I already know the famous American ones.
Interesting. I would love to. This is don't even, I feel like this could be a huge market for you out here.
This is crazy. So basically this guy, he wanted money from his parents, so he killed his parents, right? That's not the point. The point is he's in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a place that's close to Shenzhen, China, which is the mainland. So Hong Kong used to be now it's part of China, but it used to be colonized by the Brits. So right now it's kind of like Puerto Rico in America. It is part of China, but also it isn't.
Yeah.
But it's like coterminous, sharing borders with like the Chinese cities.
Yeah.
So his plan is to kill the parents and then dump their body in mainland. So hopefully the bureaucracy of two police system would just let this whole thing get swept under the rug and whatever.
I would call that a foolproof plan.
Yeah, it's a foolproof plan. But for some reason, he tried to like lure his parents like to the mainland and kill them.
Yeah.
And then first of all, he's like, okay, I gotta case this whole thing first. I gotta make sure I check my environment, make sure it's okay. He go there. China has so many like facial recognition cameras. He just gave up the plan A.
That's so. I didn't even think about that thing. China is like everything has got to be a camera.
He's trying to find a place. It's like, okay, can I find a place where I'm not gonna get caught like everywhere? It's like hundreds of cameras.
Yeah,
it's
your
like
knife has a camera on it.
So he's just like, I'm not gonna do it in China. Like this is not gonna work. So plan B. So he lured his parents to this apartment building that's he rented or somebody else has rented. That's
in Hong Kong still?
In Hong Kong.
Okay.
Under construction. This whole story is so Asian, and I love it for the little details of the facial recognition camera and certain things.
That's really funny.
So he killed the parents, and then he tried to get rid of the body. Hong Kong, it's a hugely like densely populated place.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if you drag a whole body, like in America, you can just put it in your trunk, you drive out of your garage, no one will ever see you do that. But in Hong Kong, they don't have a car. You're gonna drag a whole big like duffel bag or something out, you're gonna get seen by like 10 people
it's
already.
Suspicious looking. Yeah.
There's no way. So the only way is to cut it into pieces, which he did. He did cut it into pieces, and then still, it's a huge problem with transportation is a big issue.
That's so funny that the infrastructure and like the...
I know. Because like if you ever see pictures of Hong Kong, it's all high rises.
Yeah.
Like each like apartment building is like 30 floor, 50 floor.
Yeah,
and there's an elevator and everything. And then you basically, when you go shopping, you basically go vertical shopping.
Yeah.
Right? There's very little land. And then where there's little land, it's very hilly, little hills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just no fucking way to do this. So what he did, he bought 200 styrofoam like bento boxes.
Oh no. Oh no.
And then he started to like put the bits of his parents in the bento boxes.
That's twisted. Yeah.
And then the smell started to like become a problem. Like people start complaining about smelling. Because Hong Kong is also in tropical places. It's kind of the climate is kind of like Hawaii.
Sure.
So he started to like turn like the AC on, and it's like, okay, so raw meat smells too bad.
Oh.
He bought a microwave.
Yeah.
And he put a bento box in the microwave, and ding, you ding it.
So he figured the only way he has to cook it.
Yes.
So that it would. Oh.
So the whole body pieces filled 220 styrofoam bento boxes.
Yeah.
And this guy doesn't have a car. He has a bike.
Yeah.
So he will ship these like, you know, he will put bento boxes like a Postmate.
So
deliver.
people are like, this is the worst Postmates driver ever. This guy's stealing.
He was just like biking. I'm just picturing this because this is not caught on camera.
Yeah.
He's just like biking with like a little big box with all the bento
yeah.
boxes of his parents. He will bike to the sea.
Yeah.
Because Hong Kong is an island.
Yeah.
Dump it into sea. Go back here. Put it again. So the whole trip is like 20 trips or like 30 trips to finish the whole
great
ordeal.
Calves probably at the end of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Must have had great legs.
I know. like the quads, you know.
Oh yeah.
Very good aerobic.
Oh, he's gonna be great in prison. That guy.
But the problem is like when they suspected him and then when they try to like sample DNA, there's so many DNA samples, it's not even close.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know?
Yeah. True crime in China must be insane.
I know. I love the story so much, not just for how gruesome it is. Like there are a lot of stories
The
like
details are hilarious.
it's his predicament.
The predicament of that, and to be like, and it's also kind of funny now to picture like guys who want to commit murder in China being like, we need better transportation.
Yeah.
We need.
I
like,
know.
You
And-
want better city planning for murder
the
purposes.
thing is, he tried to buy like those styrofoam bento boxes.
Yeah.
He has to go to like a wholesaler. And the wholesaler's like, are you running a restaurant or something? Like, why do you need so many bento boxes?
Yeah.
He had to come up with like a whole story.
They're like, you got to go to Alibaba. That's way cheaper to get
Like,
them
you
that
would
way.
think that with this many deterrents,
Yeah.
he will give up the idea. Maybe, how about just not kill your parents?
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I have to do it. Like,
I-
he first wanted to go do it in China, the cameras, you know.
I gotta tell you,
Stuff.
here's the thing about China that I find really fascinating
yeah.
is that America,
Yeah.
we're kind of constantly like, oh my God, the surveillance state of China.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what a.
Yeah.
It's,
It is working.
But yeah, you go like, well, hold on though. It does work. Like, it is deterring a crime. Like, we might have to live in that world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? China does so much stuff that I respect wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I love is Jack Ma still missing from Alibaba?
I think so.
They
I
just
think
got
it's-
rid of
yeah,
him.
Yeah, they just got rid of him.
Imagine if Elon Musk, they were just like, we're just gonna shut. Elon Musk, you opened your mouth a little too fucking much.
Well,
we're gonna
Jeffrey Epstein, am I right?
Well, it's not about that. They did get rid of him, but it was a different. Like, I like. Epstein was a asset probably that was used by the CIA to try to get people in. Jack Ma just kind of opened his mouth like twice too much.
Yeah.
And they went, I don't know who he is.
You're out of here.
You're out of here, bro. You're in a
Yeah.
phone box somewhere, or a phone booth somewhere,
Aside from
locked.
bento box.
You're inside of a bento box. You're the most rich guy in this
Yeah.
country.
What I love about like
Jack Ma, by the way, Alibaba CEO.
Alibaba
I should say
CEO.
that for people.
Once is
Founder.
richest man in China. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
it-
still is.
Like one of the equivalents of a Bill Gates
Bezos.
or Bezos. Or, yeah.
Basically, Alibaba is the equivalent of Amazon.
Exactly.
So is the Jeff Bezos of China.
And I think he probably owns like part of like Tencent and whatever. Like he's a guy out there. So for him to just
Yeah.
go missing because he pissed the government off is insane. But I respect that. I'm like, I
Yeah.
like that China goes, yeah, try that shit again.
That's why I love those like. Also, like I would read like true crime story from like Korea, Japan, or even like Italy, because you will surely find out that true crime stories in each different countries really reflects on the
society.
geographical environment, the society,
Yeah.
and the little problems, the unique problems that they have that other countries don't have.
Here's the beautiful thing that all of them have in common.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, Korea, Japan, China, America, South America,
Yeah.
as if you're the lighter skinned person, they will look for you. It's a universal. That's something we can all agree on.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, if you're a light skinned girl in Saudi Arabia who goes missing, we're looking for you. You know.
Is that true? Also
Of
in the
course,
Middle East?
Colorism is true everywhere. My
But I
buddy-
know it's true in India. I know it's true in China.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. I have no idea.
Absolutely true in the Middle East.
Why?
I don't know.
Is it
People are
because
stupid?
because of the primitive association of like if you are darker, you work hard labor, and if you're lighter, you're supposed to be more
I think so.
like have higher social status, so you work at home.
It's only been like on the blip of like the lifespan of humanity.
Yeah.
This much that people
Yeah.
have been like, oh, like you have a certain pigment and you could be a banker or do whatever. Like it's so I wonder if there's something just baked into us that's gonna take like. I honestly don't know if we'll ever get to the point where we're not there because I think AI will wipe us all out in like 10 years or whatever. So, but I think it's like it is so like recent in history that it's still screwy.
Are you
up
considered like what's if there's a color shade? Like,
People say I'm olive.
Yeah,
I say that. I like that.
but what tier are you at? By Middle Eastern
I have
standard.
cousins who are like white.
Yeah.
I have cousins who, if you saw
Will they
them,
look for you if you go missing?
not too hard,
Not too hard.
but they'll give me 2 days.
Give me 2 days.
They'll give me a few days.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not a woman, which help. If you're a woman who's missing, we're really worried about it.
Right.
Right? Society's everywhere.
Would they put your picture on the milk box?
No.
Do you deserve a milk box
No
real
milk
estate?
box, no milk box. I got a lot of other pretty fair hair. You know, like I have cousins
Yeah.
and family members who look, if you saw them, you would think they were Irish, you know?
Right.
Red hair, like freckles, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's a good thing.
I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing, but
The speed when the police
sure.
take action.
Absolutely.
That was a great
person.
thing. White
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Speaking of white person, you say you're in a terrible mood. Is it because of white? I'm just kidding.
I could be. Would you? Whoever created all of AI, you've put me in a bad mood. If you're white, you're in there.
Okay, tell me why you're in a bad mood today.
No, I just don't you get. You were setting all these things up today, and like the camera, and
Yeah.
this and that, and I'm dealing with my own version of this at my house.
Yeah.
And it's like I got into this business because I'm the laziest piece of shit on the planet. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sick of all the things you have to do, and it just feels insane to me. The level. So I'm constantly frustrated because I'm always dealing with a phone or a computer or a camera or a program or not. It's just driving me fucking crazy. And today was a day where I was driven crazy by it.
Really?
know?
Were you trying to film something and it didn't
I was
work?
trying to plug in ChatGPT to Canva to get the flyer and to do the this and the that and just want to. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Because that's the thing. That's like you think you're getting to stand-up comedy, so you can do stand-up.
I'm at this point. I regret it with all of my heart,
Really?
deeply.
Tell people why they shouldn't get into stand-up.
Nobody should do anything moving forward. Everybody, we have to go on strike as a universe. What are we doing? Why are we working so hard? We have to all go on strike.
That's one of the predicaments, right? Because like it used to be, if productivity can be improved by the introduction of machines or internet or whatever, we will all be working for like 4 hours a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And it happened multiple times throughout history.
Yeah.
But you're working more.
You're working more. And then they kept being like, well, if you do work 4 hours a week, the part that they don't tell you is that they're not going to give you a full-time salary to work 4 hours a week.
They'll give you 3 hours out of the 4.
Yeah, ask an Uber driver. Uber drivers are working 90 hours a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's this thing of like, it just feels like I'm putting in more and more, and everything is getting squeezed out less and less on every,
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
Something dystopian and despicable?
Sure.
I read the news. The Kroger's, the grocery chain.
Of course.
They
Personal friends of mine.
Yeah, personal friend Kroger, Chad Kroger.
Chad Kroger.
Yeah,
exactly.
from Nickelback.
Chad, yeah.
Yeah. I wish he owns Kroger so I can hate him more.
I think he might have the Kroger money right now.
Oh, really?
He's
he does.
doing pretty
he does.
damn good.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's a despicable thing.
Yeah.
The grocery chain Kroger's introduced something called elastic, pricing model or like dynamic pricing model. What happened is all the price tag of commodities or products are not paper tags anymore. Instead, it's like electronic. You're like, oh, what difference does that make? Makes a huge difference.
Okay.
What happens is they can change the price by the click of a mouse. So what they do is they raise the price on a hot day for like ice cream.
I love it.
Water.
I'm they're surge pricing my fucking
I know.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Oh, people look really tired.
And-
So you're telling me on January 1st,
Yeah.
they're going to be like, people are going to be really
Yeah.
tired from the night before. So energy drinks are now $2 more.
Yeah.
I'll fucking kill you,
I know.
Kroger's,
I
if
know.
you do that
And
to
then
me.
this is even worse. And then like a day before, Thanksgiving turkey price went up. That actually makes a little bit more sense, right? But what's more despicable is they're working with this company, two companies. One is Microsoft and the other company is like a AI company. What they do is they place cameras behind the rack.
Yeah.
And when you go to Kroger's, especially if you shop there very frequently, they have all your data. So they will facial recognize you and they will raise the price.
You're making me so
on
angry
on the
right now.
item that you buy the most. They will have an algorithm to calculate your maximum tolerance on a certain price of a certain item. For example, if you use this shaving cream, you're always gonna buy that shaving cream. It's like, oh, Ramsey always buy this shaving cream. Let me raise it for like not like a lot, like 50 cents or $1. You probably wouldn't even notice, but it adds up, and they were able to reap like millions of dollars.
This is why I'm fucking furious, yo. It's because
how despicable is that?
these people say, and this is why all technology is evil. I used to be a big believer, like we're making the world better.
Yeah, but this is nuts.
Well, what they're all doing is they're all building an infrastructure to fuck you over as hard as possible. And you think they're going, hey, isn't it cool? You have a cool phone. But then they're going, but actually they're telling the other guys, Apple is telling the big corporations, eventually you'll be able to use their phone to charge them more money. Because you're so right. Not just the data of purchasing this stuff. We're now heading to a world where they're going to go, we're going to know so much about you when you come to buy this thing.
Yeah.
It is going to be custom based on not just the fact that you buy it here all the time, but the fact that you were on Pornhub earlier.
I know.
We know you want to use.
And it's like, yeah, because there are certain items like, for women, tampons or certain, they only choose a brand. For men, like deodorant, like you don't really like, oh, today let me try this.
Yeah.
You always buy the same thing. Like, oh, you always buy that? Let me just jack up the price.
Yeah, of course. And what happens when they go, oh, it turns out Ramsey makes this much money a year. We know through the data that he's making
let's raise it even more.
So let's give him more because he can afford more. And he won't complain about this price. I'll fucking complain about any price. Let it be known to all the people at Kroger's and Safeway. I will complain about all
It's
prices.
like raising the price of Band-Aid after like 9/11. It's like
absolutely. And let me tell you, they thought about it.
They thought about it.
The Band-Aid organization after 9/11 was like,
that's how they use AI to like control you.
I know. And so this is another one of the many reasons why.
But the thing is, it's irreversible.
It's irreversible.
Like I don't
and
think
we did this to ourselves.
You just have to lube up your bottle and
you do.
Let it in,
I know. And this is the part that I've been so frustrated about this lately. You just have no choice.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. And probably 7 years, I really think it's like 5 to 7 years. We are fucking fucked.
We're fucked?
We are fucking fucked.
What's your plan?
The average IQ of a robot right now is like, or not robot, but the AI programs.
But they do SAT test, and they're testing pretty well, yeah.
So they're saying the average IQ is 100. But unlike a human, right? Humans, we have an IQ of like 120, but it's like, it'll be stronger on certain areas of expertise. They're even 100, and they're going, in 3 years, it's going to double. And then 3 years after that, it's going to double. And we're looking at a pathway to having fucking AI programs that have IQs of 1,200 by 2035.
I know many people whose IQ is definitely under 100.
It's
by our interaction. I was
most of my friends are dumber than every program that they have. And provide less information.
So what's your plan? What's your escape plan?
I don't know. Right now, I have my entire net worth invested in meme coins, and I'm looking to just take that to the moon.
I feel like your IQ might also be really
90, probably. My IQ is 90, probably.
Why would you trust that?
Why would I trust anything?
I don't know.
It's not all my net worth, but there's definitely enough net worth in there that would scare most people.
Dogecoin, like not even Bitcoin.
I'm off Dogecoin, dude. That's for.
I only have Bitcoin. No, that's the only thing.
I have Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I got my Bitcoin. I love my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But normally, I'm even thinking about getting out of Bitcoin because I'm like, I need more. Yeah.
I only have Bitcoin as a way to hedge risks. Like, if there's a dollar collapsing, I can just like flee somewhere, and then I'll have this nest egg.
You're treading into a very dangerous territorial conversation with me, just so you know. This is a conversation that I have used like a python to squeeze the life out of every person that I know.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the conversation?
Well, that I'm like, well, the dollar is collapsing. It's all collapsing.
So you're like a doomsayer, basically.
It's not even that I'm a doomsayer. It's that I'm like, I'm a big believer. I love, this was a comedy podcast. Now it's just me screaming about the national change shortage.
Yeah. I feel like you should start a channel just like Alex Jones.
I'm not an Alex Joneser.
It's like, folks, this country is falling apart.
But it's one of those things where you sound, it's built to make you sound crazy when you talk about it. There's no question about it. It's insane. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at so much, like, it's as simple as this. Remember when you were younger, a $5 got you a foot long of sandwich.
I know. $5
now it literally gets you like a third of a sandwich.
Like those what do you call it? Tropicana orange juice is like $7.99. It used to be $2.99.
I do this thing now, and maybe I don't know if you have like where I'll go. All right, I'm gonna save some money, or not even save money.
Yeah.
I'm not broke. I'm doing great. But
Yeah.
for like cosmically speaking, for my family,
Yeah.
no Palestinian has ever done
as well as
me, who's made as much money and worked less.
Yeah.
I'm doing great, but there's this element of like every single time I go, okay, I'm gonna save a couple bucks, and I'll go to the grocery store, and I'm like, it would have been cheaper to eat out. That's crazy. This is the only time in history I've ever felt that way.
Yeah.
You know, so I've got I'm like, now I'm
Do you
just
think
like,
it's a
I'm
unique,
YOLOing it.
a unique LA problem?
No, I don't. I think it's definitely in America. I think it's a big problem across the country. I mean, they just put out these jobs numbers reports. There's like a recession looming, or they think that we've been in a recession for the last like 3 years. And nobody even said anything.
Is it cake?
Yeah. Is it cake?
Is it cake?
Yeah.
Well, this is not necessarily a comedy podcast, but I do want to touch upon comedy a bit. You know,
Please do.
Yeah.
Take me away from the Federal Reserve. Because if I start talking
the dollar's not real.
I will fucking sink this podcast.
Yeah, I kind of try to like stray away from talking shop too much because it just gets in this kind of incestual inside baseball thing.
Of course.
It's just something I so despise so much. But you work at the comedy store.
I do.
That's how I don't even remember. You know how funny it is? It's the first time I noticed you, I think it's at the Improv. You were doing a set, and I actually sent you a message just saying how funny you are. And then I totally forgot about the whole thing and forgot about who you are.
Sure.
And then the second time I messaged you, I saw the message I sent you years ago. I'm like, oh, this is not the first interaction I have with this person.
Yeah, I remember that. Was that at the Comedy Store that you saw me the second time when you sent the message?
Yeah, I saw you at the Comedy Store a few times.
Cool. Okay.
But like that's the first time I kind of like not on my phone, but kind of just paid attention for no reason.
It's an interesting part of the world that you'll see somebody and you'll think they're great, or you'll be like, oh, that's a good person, and then you just won't see them again for 4 years.
Yeah.
Or 3 years or whatever, and then everybody's doing their own thing. But it's odd because you're like, oh fuck, I saw you 3 years ago and just forgot
it's
you
like
existed.
out of sight, out of mind. But which proves that showing up is definitely the number one rule of getting noticed in anything.
Yes, I tell people all the time. I've never gotten any. Well, I mean, it's true about everything.
It's like a visual reminder. So, oh, why did I book him? You know.
The number of times that I have gotten asked or presented opportunities because I was simply someplace, and it was like a guy bumped into me and said, "Oh, you know what? That you reminded me. I wanted to give something to somebody." It's crazy. Way more than somebody remembering how funny I was in the back of their mind. You know, it's the it's the visual reminder always.
So what is your path so far? Like you've been doing this for a while, right?
Yeah, I started in 2015.
2015.
Yeah, 2015.
Oh, okay. So that's
2015, like maybe end of 2014.
So almost 9 years.
10, yeah, close to 10.
Did you do anything during the pandemic?
Kind of, not really. I mean, during the pandemic, I was very. I didn't know people were like doing these secret whatever. I was also a little freaked out. I mean, I wasn't ever really terribly concerned about COVID, but I would visit my parents, so I'd be like worried about getting them sick, and now I don't know if I give a shit anymore. But at that time, so I kind of feel like those were a couple years that I was sort of not really fully in it. Were you doing comedy?
No, I didn't do anything during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how to count it. If I don't count the pandemic, probably like 3-4 years. Yeah. 3 years maybe.
It's
for
hard.
real.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard to like. Because that goes back to your prison theory. So without a structure, this is something totally like you can just do it or not do it.
Yes.
And nobody want to do anything, including me.
It's not a very comfortable thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable to be like, I'm going to go to this comedy club and try to do a set tonight or do whatever. So I think that, there was a part of me that definitely enjoyed the pandemic. That was prison enjoyment for me, where I'm like, well, I guess I'll just not do anything. Like getting this pretty sweet $600 a week, like not bad, you know. But were you getting like the weekly?
No, I have a business. I don't qualify.
Oh, yeah, you're one of those losers. You're one of those.
I nicked myself some PPP loan. No. I actually didn't get PPP loan.
Oh, I PPP loaned hard.
Really? How? I've heard so many stories.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't I nick it so I can pay $8 for my orange juice at Kroger's? You know.
Nobody loves milking a government program.
Listen, do not feel bad if you milked PPP unless you're like a big corporation. If you're like a small fish, don't feel bad about it.
You should feel bad.
Orange juice is $8.99.
Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
By the way, that was how I felt.
Yeah.
When it was going down, I went, whether I like
Kroger's nicked tens of millions of PPP.
Whether I like it
It's
or
all
not.
balancing it out, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not, this is gonna. Whether you like it or not, Kroger's is taking $10 million,
Yeah.
and they're gonna screw up everything right now
Yeah.
by doing that. So take your money.
Just take your money.
And by the way, they're gonna also send a nuke to Ukraine in 5 seconds too. So it's like, if we're really gonna figure out where the money should be wasted and where,
maybe take more money so they can't afford to send another missile.
But they,
They'd be like, oh, the drone budget this month is a bit short.
They go, we got more for
there's
the
so many
drone.
people nicking PPP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They will always make room for the drones.
Yeah, so I was one of those losers who did not get the 600. I own a business, you know.
I was crushing it. Although I will say that I had gotten a job. I was writing. I was working for a show called Lights Out with David Spade.
Okay. The Comedy Central.
Yeah, I got that. It was like my first kind of job like that. I was on track to being a writer there. Mm-hmm. Like I wasn't hired as a writer, but I was brought in. I was like, they're like, you'll start researcher, and then we'll put you in the digital, whatever. And it's like a track to be a writer. So it was a great job. I loved working there. It was my first like show business job. And then within like a month, as soon as I got the job, I was like, this is awesome. And like 2 months later, they were like, we got like, pandemic was within a month, and then a month after that, they're like, we can't afford to do the show anymore.
Wow, so that's how that show went away.
Yeah, and it was a good. It was actually, I'm not even saying this to tout my own horn, but it was like, it was a good show. I mean, I didn't have
the only thing I remember is Dylan's set about being fat.
Yeah, that was great. I
Dylan
mean, there was
Sullivan
a lot of
has a set. 5-minute set of being fat. It's funny.
It gave a lot of comics a good nice 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of comics who wrote on it, and it was a good show. Comedy Central has never done anything since. Comedy Central now is basically a glorified production studio. Yeah, I mean they don't do shit.
Like what is there except for South Park?
They air
reruns.
South Park. Yeah,
that's it. They don't even. I think the last glory per se is Key and Peele, and that's how many years ago? 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, I thought Lights Out was something unique that they were doing.
But it's budding. It never got the time.
It never got the time.
Yeah.
It never got the time, and probably was never going to get the time.
Yeah.
But the reality is Comedy Central and all of these guys were on a pathway out for a long time, and to be completely honest with you, it's like just a part of me that's just like, I'm glad that you guys are gone because you guys are making comedy really bad. You know what I mean? If I had to watch fucking Awkwafina get 4 more comedy specials.
Does she have comedy specials?
Awkwafina was like the darling of Comedy Central for a minute. And
she has show. I don't think
no
she does
personal
stand-up.
disrespect to the but there was a moment where there was like, do you guys even, I'm a comedian, so I have thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. I have a different. I mean, I'm not a fan of her, nor I dislike her. I'm pretty neutral, but I kind of have sympathy for her for a whole different reason.
What's your sympathy towards Awkwafina?
When she won, not really sympathy. I don't think it affects her in any way.
Yeah.
It's just purely from my perspective. When she won, like I forgot, Golden Globe or something, or Emmy for her role at the indie movie.
Yeah.
About the Chinese family. Everyone in China is talking about how ugly she is.
That's really funny.
They're like, and then to the point, they're like, oh, they gave her the award because they are racist against Asians. So they want to perpetrate this caricature of an ugly face because they think we all look like that.
That is insanely funny.
That's so insane.
But that's brutal for her.
For me, I mean,
you're right.
It doesn't affect her because she's born here. She probably didn't see the comments or whatever. But I saw him like, oh, I feel so bad. Like,
she knows.
The fuck
People
did she
are telling
do?
her. People are telling her.
The fuck did she do?
Yeah, no. You're right. You're right about that.
They said the same
That's
thing about
true.
Sandra Oh.
Yeah.
But because Awkwafina is partially Chinese, I don't even know if she's half or fully Chinese.
Yeah.
So I think she's Chinese. Yeah. So
Yeah.
people feel more connected with, oh my gosh, she's so ugly.
That is really. I mean, it's not. It's funny in that the funny element of that is that you just can't win no matter what.
Yeah. You know what's brutal is China has a website called Bilibili. It's a copycat site like the Japanese site Nico Nico. So what it does is you will have a comment. Like Twitch comment is like on the right side.
Yeah.
It will just keep like cascading up.
Okay.
But this comment will go on the screen. So it's a special style. Like it's a Chinese thing. So you will watch something, and then other people watching, they can type a comment, and the comment will float. And then sometimes when everyone's typing the comment at the same time, the whole person's face would get
Just
covered,
get covered
by just like a
Yeah.
swarm of like comments.
Yeah.
Sometimes good, ha 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 ha, or oh my god, this is great, or whatever, different
Yeah.
color, whatever. So the clip of her accepting like the award, like once she shows up, her face just got covered by so ugly.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
this is racist. Do they all think Chinese people have small eyes? That's why they give her this award.
Oh,
It's brutal.
poor lady.
I know.
Poor lady. I just dragged her not knowing
I
about
know.
this horrible
I
thing
mean,
she had to go through.
Like I said, she never made me laugh or whatever. But
I don't care.
Yeah,
by
I don't
the
really
way.
care.
I'm just
but
talking shit. I mean, I
Yeah.
just worked for Comedy Central. I would see kind of who they were giving all deals to and things, and you just kind of, you're a comedian. You know who's
But
funny.
have you ever seen comedy specials, not naming names or platform?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then you're like, what?
That's what I'm saying. Shoot all of these executives. Like, who cares? Like, these guys deserve to not
Like
have
some
jobs.
of it is not even a matter of like preferences or taste.
Well, these days, I think comedy specials look different than they used to.
Yeah.
20 and this is so interesting. I never thought I would say this, but as I got more mature in the business, it's like, gatekeepers aren't such a bad thing on some level, because now it used to be, we choose you, Zeo, you're going to be a star, come on our platform and we're going to make you famous. Now it's, you're famous and we need you to come on our platform because we need you to direct your people. And a lot of these people who are doing it, they're going like, Matt Rife. Matt Rife never got any love from anybody in the business. Nobody liked Matt Rife's Name one. I've been doing, he's been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been doing comedy a long time. Long enough.
Yeah.
I don't know one person who's ever told me Matt Rife is funny.
Yeah.
I don't know one.
I've never met a Joe Biden fans.
Like
fan.
same deal, right?
I met a lot of Trump fans, like fans of Trump.
Yes.
Like, yeah, they voted for Biden.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're a Biden fan,
Even, well, that is like, the Biden thing is almost a completely different, like, sort of sect of problems. But
Yeah.
the Matt Rife thing of
Yeah.
like, he never got love from the business, from internally, from people. Comics never liked him, never respected him, still don't like him, still don't respect him. Like, not a good comedian.
Yeah.
Not a look,
He's okay.
not a,
Like, to be very honest,
Yeah.
if his whole shtick is being hot and attract young girls, I've actually seen his stand-up.
me too.
Is it
I've
good?
watched him a number of times.
No.
I've watched him in front of his own fans not do that great.
I think it's mediocre. I don't think it's terrible. You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
Because I've seen way worse.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
The standard for do we give somebody $27 trillion
know.
should not be I've seen worse.
I know.
And the standard for do we give somebody $27 trillion as a comedian should not be how big are his jaw implants.
That is true. But the thing is, like, I've seen so many atrocious ones. So I'm like, I've expected worse.
Zeo, I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not a hater in the same way that everybody else is a hater, but I'm just being blunt, honest about it.
Yeah.
Nobody cared for him. So when he gets a deal from Netflix, he goes and takes that deal because to him it's like a trophy he gets to pat himself on the back with. Monetarily, he's doing fine without that deal. So that's what it is. Now you have these like interesting barnacles at various companies who want to produce a special or something. And then you have these guys who are like, well, I never got love from that company until I started getting it. So now I'm going to let them give me love so that I can feel complete as a person. They'll always be taken
My
into...
only gripe, not just for my gripe, just for like good comics too. I see
Yeah.
a lot of like veterans fall into the same, thing, which is they're not ready for an hour. They keep pumping out specials just because they signed a deal of 5 specials or whatever. And some of it is so watered down. I watched the whole thing. I'm like, this is 20 minutes.
Well, we live in an era now. I'm more pissed off.
Yeah.
Now I'm pissed off again.
This is 20 minutes.
We
You
live
know,
in a-
you know it better than me. Because some of the comics, not gonna name names, they're good. They used to be good. So they damn well know
They've diluted
that
their
is
brand.
not an hour. You don't have an hour. You diluted 20 minutes
Hannah
into an
Berner
hour.
does not have an hour. Right? she just did an hour for Netflix. Does not have an hour. She does not have 20 minutes.
Well,
maybe.
her problem is not the dilution.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I don't. I think my feeling with so much of this is I don't. I know I just threw shade at 2 specific people.
Yeah.
By the way, billionaires don't give a fuck about me. You know what I mean? I'm a hobo in their eyes. The reality of that is the problem that I was complaining about earlier, which is like we live in an era that I think values quantity over quality. People got to put more out than less. Like there's nothing special about it anymore. And so I think people reach a point where they go, yeah, the model of like put it out when you're ready just doesn't really make any sense anymore. I need to now put out an hour every single year. It doesn't matter whether it's good or it's bad. I need a crowd work thing. I need things to put out every single day. And therefore now technology killed our art.
Initially it started from Louis C.K. when he started to put out a special per year, or maybe like every.
But that wasn't even algorithm based, right?
But the biggest difference is when he started doing that, he's in his like late 40s. He's been doing comedy for like 25 years or almost 30 years at that point.
30 at that point.
30 at that point.
And was recognized as the greatest.
And he is already the greatest of all time at that time. So when he's doing one a year, for him, it's 30 years of accumulation of wisdom, experience and whatever. It's not just like that 1 year. But a lot of people try to follow suit when they haven't really, paid their dues or put in the time. And then they're like, no, you don't have the same output.
So interesting.
You just don't have the same output.
I think it's a weird product that we live in our time, which is it's really interesting. I just saw David Spade the other night at the Comedy Store. And somebody was like, will we ever have anybody that famous ever again? And I think the answer is no.
Right.
I think everything is diluted now.
It's like decentralized.
Everything is decentralized in a way that is odd. And some of that is good and some of that is bad and some of that is weird. Like Matt Rife's success has nothing to do with me. There has not been a Matt Rife fan out there that went, it's between Ramsey screaming about the Federal Reserve or Buff Squidward over here. You know what I mean? Like it's never been that. So that has nothing to do with me. But it's interesting. So you have... I think part of that process is you have people going, I don't need the rules. I don't need time. I don't need to earn it. Like, it doesn't matter. I just need to keep churning and putting material out. Because I think YouTube and TikTok, all these algorithms prioritize frequency of uploads and frequency of how fast you're putting the things up. They're not going, well, is he putting 20 years of work into that upload? They're going, I need an upload. I don't give a fuck.
Because you used to see comics have a path of like, they do that, they do the headlining clubs, and then the first thing they got is not a full special, is a Comedy Central HBO half an hour.
If they were lucky. But then before that, there was Premium Blend, Conan O'Brien, like a set on Conan.
Yeah, but you see, it's incremental steps. A set on Conan has a good tight 5 or whatever, 7 if you're lucky. And then you get 30 minutes, half an hour. Or sometimes a half hour has like claps is 25 minutes or whatever, which is like you probably have 25. I have 25, which is not that hard to put together.
Sure.
And then you accumulate that into an hour. But I see a lot of people just go past that stage. It's like, okay, you have followers an hour or an hour and a half. I'm like, you don't have an hour.
Again, I can't figure out whether it's good or bad. I think it's bad. I think it was good at one point, and I think it's getting bad. But I also think there's this odd thing that's going on with comedy too, is like the network effects of comedy. Like there are so many people all over the world are coming online to what stand-up comedy is, that you're now kind of watching people do bad comedy, but people who don't, if you live in Brazil and you've never seen stand-up comedy before, and you see Matt Rife's, again, I'm going to continue to use him just because he's an easy example. You see Matt Rife's hour.
So, oh my God, that's pretty funny.
That's great. Yeah. I've never seen anything like this before. He said that dating in LA is different than dating in New York.
Oh my God, it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it blows you away. You're like, what the fuck? But if you have any taste, again, I've been in this business a long time. I don't know one person I've never heard a person go, dude, Matt Rife has this new bit. You gotta hear it.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. I work at at least the top 2 comedy clubs in this country.
I probably say that more. I say Willie Simon has a good bit.
Yes. I've never heard anybody go, dude, I've heard a lot of people say things about comics I don't love. Yeah. But I go, yeah, okay, I recognize that.
Brian Regan. Like, I don't like Brian Regan, but a lot of people like it.
But a lot of people, I recognize it. Jim Gaffigan's, whoever. I mean, I like Jim Gaff. But point being, like, there's comics where you go, I don't know them, I don't like them, but I recognize that's a good comedian or whatever. Yeah. And they'll talk, and you hear people internally in the room and the staff at the club talk about bits. Like, oh, I heard this guy, he's doing this new bit about. Never in my life have I ever, and will I ever hear a Matt Rife bit.
But I feel like what you mentioned, someone from Brazil, I think that's the best thing ever. It's kind of like, what's the first thing that you got exposed to? When I didn't know stand-up comedy was a thing till I was like 20, maybe like 20, when I was in China in college, 3rd year, and I watched Delirious. That's the first one I watched. I watched Delirious Raw. and all the mid 90s Chris Rock stuff, like Bring the Pain, Bigger Blacker, Killing the Messenger later, then the Killing Me Softly and For What It's Worth by Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
That's the only exposure I have. After that is some Carlin stuff, George Carlin stuff. And then after that, I watched some Comedy Central clips. At the time was Natasha Leggero, Chris D'Elia. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But I remember the disappointment when I first watched like
Well,
Chris
you saw there was
D'Elia.
a step down. Yeah.
It's a huge step down.
But
But I had no idea I watched the best of all time. It was just recommended to me. I'm like, okay, maybe stand-up is supposed to be this good. And then I'm like, no, that's the best of the best. This is the norm. And this is actually great.
I get hate for this all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think Eddie Murphy's one of the best.
Really? I fucking love Eddie Murphy.
I take Adam Sandler any day over Eddie Murphy.
I like Sandler too.
Career-wise,
Yeah,
comedy-wise,
okay,
everything.
as an actor for sure. I really like Adam Sandler.
I love Adam Sandler.
I know his fans are associated with just those like dumb frat boys and it's kind of like fart jokes and whatever.
Sure. And fart jokes are the best.
Yeah, but
None
there's
better.
certain things about Adam Sandler that is the little like humanity and invulnerability about him that makes him stand out.
People will say Eddie Murphy's like the greatest to ever do it. I hear that a lot.
I love Eddie
Adam
Murphy.
Sandler's 100%.
You need to give Eddie Murphy a second.
I like it. I don't know.
Stand up, not
I don't
acting.
like his you know what's funny? I don't
You
like
don't?
I never this is a preference thing. I'm going to acknowledge this.
Yeah.
Flashiness and
okay, why don't you like Eddie Murphy?
a big act out performance that never really
You like
got
material.
me. I like funny jokes.
Okay.
And so for me, him running around the stage, calling people gay, it just wasn't it for me.
It's hilarious.
I understand there's funny in that. I'm not saying but
it is one thing is true is you can't really learn from him.
You can't learn from him.
Because you have to be him. You have to admit there's some kind of genius in him that
it's a lot of swag.
Only he can do. It's not just sweat. It's the acting skill. Is the impressions and everything.
I agree.
You can do an Eddie Murphy bit verbatim. It won't be the same.
I think you're absolutely right.
But you can pilfer something from Sam Morril. I'm like, oh my god, that's a great joke. If you just stole it from Sam,
I think you nailed it 100%.
Yeah.
There's something. So that to me is like, okay, that makes Eddie Murphy the greatest Eddie Murphy of all time.
Yeah. Okay, you really value like. What do you think of Rock and Chappelle?
I love Rock and love Chappelle. Those guys were guys that I grew up being into.
I don't think there's another comic that's has a more rigid structure than Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, fantastic structure, fantastic joke writer. Subject wise, I loved what Chris Rock always did growing up. If you're not from America, and maybe I'm curious about your thoughts on this. I feel like you kind of have an urge if you're from a country, especially like where I'm from, where they'll kill you if you talk shit about the government. Guys like Chris Rock,
same thing. I mean, they don't kill you; they send you to labor camps and stuff.
But it gets you kind of charged up because you're like, oh fuck, like he's just saying that about the government, like he's talking trash about whatever. And so for me, those were the things that always got me really charged up. Like I would get really fucking charged up about the idea of like David Cross was a guy who I was really into growing up.
I saw his later stuff. I wasn't impressed.
I think I will say
I like Mr. Show though.
I think his stuff later was not as good as his earlier stuff. His earlier stuff was so fucking like, he was just talking about George Bush and the failed war on terror and all this but he was doing it in such a way that I was like, this would get you fucking killed where I'm from. So that was always interesting to me. That was way more interesting to me. Eddie Murphy talking about, you remember the ice cream man? It just didn't do it for me.
I fucking love that ice cream
People
man
love
joke.
it. For me, I'm like,
I love the family cookout joke. I like the Stevie Wonder
but Chris Rock
crashing into a tree.
I mean, these are all funny and silly. But to me, Chris Rock talking about the mayor of DC smoking crack in his opener was amazing.
One thing about Chris Rock is he's very true about a lot of things, to the point that sometimes I will encounter a scenario and the first thing I think about is a joke of his. Like there's one time I saw a clear high heels worn by hookers. I immediately thought about his since when did clear clear palms become the whole symbol? Do they have a convention? They're like, girl, we need something nasty. Just certain things there are a lot of examples.
He's defined how to think about a subject.
Sometimes
he's the last take on this subject.
Sometimes I'm not thinking about comedy at all. It was just like a scenario. And the first thing came to mind is, oh my god, Chris Rock said this about that.
It's his point of view. I like that. And again, the dilution of this art form, I think, like, is so interesting because there will never be a day. I've heard people say like, oh, well, Matt Rife or whoever, these are our Dane Cooks. There was an era where people like hated Dane Cook for the exact same thing. And that might be true, but I just don't see a world where anybody. I look at everybody who's killing it now.
To end this podcast, how about we make a comparison between Matt Rife and Dan Cook, since you brought it up?
Okay.
It's like they were popular.
Both use social media.
Huge, not just popular, like selling out Madison Square Garden level popular. Social media, MySpace back in the days for Dan Cook.
Yeah.
Right now it's TikTok for Matt Rife.
Yeah.
Dan Cook was considered good looking back then. Now
he
looks
was
like
considered
shit.
good looking.
Now
he
look like a
really
lesbian,
bad now.
butch lesbian.
Really bad.
That's been that has acid thrown in his face.
Every time I see him, I'm like, did you just get stung in the face by 10 wasps?
Yeah.
And he's got a 14-year-old girlfriend, dangling on his side somewhere.
Yeah, and then they both have like, I wouldn't say shtick. Like for Matt Rife, it's crowd work. For Dan Cook, is whatever the fuck.
It was the physicality. Dan Cook had a similar thing too. I think Eddie Murphy that you're saying.
Oh my god, I'm so triggered when you say that.
It's not true. I don't mean. Yeah. I mean there was a quality of Dane. Yeah. Whatever you say about Dane, I will still say this.
You can't do his bit.
You can't do his bit. And he was. And when I was in the 8th grade listening to Dane Cook,
it's the best thing.
It was the best thing I've ever heard in my life. I've never heard anything like that before.
So to have a comparison. Yeah. Who do you think is better
between the two of them?
Yeah.
It's easily Dane Cook.
Really?
Dane Cook is.
Why is that?
Dane Cook still had to. You know what?
Yeah.
I know it sucks when you get two comics together now. Everybody just complains about the algorithm and complains about this. I hate to be such a hack. It fucking bothers me. It bothers me so much, but I'm like, it's true. This is what Christians must feel like. When they're like, no, you don't get it. It's true. Like what I'm saying is
God is good.
It's good. Like, and you're like, yeah, I get it. Abortion is bad. You're fucking driving me crazy. You were killing a baby. Like, I get that.
But why? There's no why. It just is. Yeah. That's called faith.
Like Dane came up in the era where it was like, well, he just killed. He had to kill. He had to kill every single time. I think like if Matt didn't get jaw implants,
is that true? He got jaw implants?
Yeah. Oh, I'll show. We'll do some. Yeah. Put the pictures up.
You're
right
like
here.
a very vociferous hater, huh? You like know so much about it.
Well, it's because to me it represents again. Do I hate him specifically? No. It's what he represents. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's like, had he not gotten the jaw implants, had he not gotten his teeth fixed, I don't know if he'd be a superstar. Dane Cook, I don't think that's the same as true. He came through the ranks, he did his thing, he crushed every single time. Like Comedy Central, Premium Blend, Comedy Central Half Hour, HBO. It's like he did it. Yeah. A little annoying in how he did it. Wasn't the greatest, but he didn't do it because he wore his shirt too tight. I just love
one of my light died. Yeah. Now it's very dramatic lighting effects.
It's very true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Now we're shitting on the two biggest comics of all time.
I wish it would have gotten dark.
It gets dark.
Right when I brought up the Federal Reserve earlier.
It's just like, okay, here's the thing. Yeah. And the light right here.
I know.
So do you think Matt Rife will have a longer, because it's over for Dang for a while now. Yeah. Do you think he will have a longer career length?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I think easy come, easy go.
You
and
think
I think it wasn't easy in the sense that
as long as I keep those pegs.
That's what I'm saying. Like it'll be fine. I'm not saying it, but I think what he offers will soon be offered by somebody else. There'll be another hot guy who comes up and is more representative of the time.
Comics are pretty ugly.
Comics are pretty ugly. Have you noticed now everybody's hot? There's more and more hot people coming to comedy.
No, what circles are you hanging around?
Well, they're not coming to comedy clubs. They're not hanging around and doing open mics. They're like every couple of weeks I'll be scrolling through the reels and I'll find like a reel from like an open micer who's like a hot chick. Yeah. And she's telling a dog shit joke that you've heard a zillion times, but it has 4.8 million likes on it or something.
That doesn't
it's at the third, it's at the not the third wheel, but the fucking fourth wall, open mic.
Oh, that would never happen, that fourth wall. It's gotta be Hollywood comedy.
Yeah. No, or Hollywood comedy, but I've seen it at fourth. I've seen it at the fourth wall.
Oh my God.
And you're like, this is the worst bit I've ever heard in my entire
that doesn't
life.
bother me. What bothers me is a hot chick talking about a joke, had 4.8 million views, and she's funny. And that's when I throw my phone across the room. It's like, this is not fair. That's just not supposed to be funny.
I completely feel you in that. I do. The hot girl doesn't bother me. It's just is. Yeah. And I think it's because I think there's just more and more people now who are like, oh, well, I am hot and I already have 1.10 fucking million followers. Why not just come on it, And by the way, they're not wrong. Why not go out and fucking figure out how to sell tickets?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's better than...
With that note, let's end today's episode. Like, by the amount we complain about social media, you guys know we're not very good. That's the number one.
I should be a superstar at this point.
Like, if we have 1.2 million followers, we would never shit about.
It
would be like, AI is the best thing that ever happened to humanity.
Thank you, China.
Thank you, China.
Yeah.
Thank you, TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be wearing my Xi Jinping shirt.
Well, you should be back. This is a lot of fun.
It's just tons of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
We talk about jihad.
Yeah.
And we end with jihad.
Next time you need
the internal struggle with
algorithms.
Yeah,
and my jihad against Matt Rife.
I know.
Okay, great. We found an episode title.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. An hour